Welcome to bLU Talks. To a different format. We're actually doing more like a video podcast type interview. Little backstories. We're also recording an answer with Darius for an upcoming documentary as well at the same time. Just to let you guys know, I was just sharing how many people believe in manifestation? Okay. Lately, I feel like I'm more of a powerful manifestor than before. So I had said the other day that I want to go to trying to remember the name of the venue, but I want to go to a show in Harlem. And then I also said I wanted to start exercising today. So today, the Uber took me to the wrong address in Harlem, and then I had to walk here 40 minutes. So I feel I manifested my exercise and my visit to Harlem all this morning. So I feel like I'm becoming a power manifester. So I just wanted to share that to kick things off. Apollo, exactly. It was the Apollo. I was going to want to go to a show with the Apollo. I actually want to perform there for an open mic. And I'll probably get killed, but I'm happy to do it.
That's fun.
Awesome. Okay, so Darius, welcome. So excited to have you here with us. Darius, what I usually like to do for our listeners, viewers, audience, is to get the guests to tell us a little bit about themselves versus me reading a bio that I'll probably pronounce wrong. So can you tell us just a little bit about yourself before we dive in?
I'm Darius Ross. I've been in the real estate business about 35 years. I've ventured from the real estate business to commercial acquisitions to doing multifamily acquisitions and development. Of the last probably 5 or 10 years has been focusing on executive development and executive coaching because a lot of the characters that I've got involved in, I use characters very loosely, have been in the real estate business and they found themselves in crunch situations, whereas unfortunately speaking, it's been crisis management. Since 2007, there's been a lot of crisis management and dealing with foreclosures and so forth.
Amazing. Well, so having said that, if we dive down the real estate path, I mean, I think of it like the stock market, right? Like a lot of people, whenever stuff happens, people like drop everything, you know, like cash in the stock, what have you. And it seems like with real estate, it's one of those things that always kind of bounces back and comes back around. So my question is if you want to create wealth in real estate, is the true answer to stay in the game and let it come back, or to try to ride the waves?
See, there's two answers to that. Right now, based upon the current administration, we're going to see the kind of catastrophe that people haven't seen before. 2007 was nothing, 1929 was nothing. We're going to see real estate on sale, not for sale, but on sale. Because unfortunately speaking, now at this time in history, real estate's gone through a crisis mode. People have gotten too leveraged, whether it's home equity loans, HELOCs, refinances, and so forth. In commercial business, you have so many people that aren't paying after COVID. They're still not paying. You know, we're 4 or 5 years afterwards. So unfortunately speaking, real estate's going to go down by 50%, as well as the stock market's going to take a 70% hit. The only thing they're doing now is propping it up.
So I guess that's the big question then to follow up with that is, what do you recommend people do to prepare for that?
Unfortunately speaking, you want to be in cash right now. You want to be in a position of cash. Your 401ks in so many cases are stuck, so you can't get them out. But you want to be in a position where you can be liquid enough to where you can ride the wave, because this is going to be one hell of a turnaround. Between, say, now 2005 and 7, 8, 9, 10, there's going to be a huge amount of properties coming on the market as you're starting to see them now.
And then I guess, do you recommend, because when it gets really low, like I remember a friend of ours, her husband was an NHL hockey player and he owned a couple of properties in Phoenix, and he could ride the wave, like financially he was okay to ride the wave, but he ended up buying a couple of more properties because it went so low. Mm-hmm. He said, I know it has to come back and I can't afford not to do this. Obviously you got to be in a position to do that. Mm-hmm. But if somebody's in a position to do that, do you think it is a time to maybe jump at, obviously time, it depends how low it goes and when you want to jump in. But does that make sense if you can buy really, really low? Because if it depends how long the wave is, I suppose, right? If the wave is like 10 years, you might not be able to ride it that long.
Yeah, it's going to be like that.
So I guess I'm just looking for what kind of recommendation you have for people, other than have cash, be liquid.
If you're going to be in the real estate market right now, you want to be able to look at it for 10 years. We're going to be looking at this thing through 2035, through at least 2 more elections. And it's going to take 2 more presidents to fix the situation that we have now. So as a result, if you want to make sure your credit is good, you want to make sure you're in a position liquid, And more importantly speaking, you're in a position where you don't have to turn around and make any moves because the market hasn't taken the hit that it's going to take yet. We're looking at probably 2007 through 2020, 30, somewhere in there.
Is when it will actually
Hit.
Okay, so then the other side is if you're not in, like if you don't have property now, if you don't have a place, and let's say you're a person listening or watching this that's maybe just on the line, you don't have a lot of extra stuff, would it be a consideration to keep renting versus even getting into real estate?
Absolutely. Save that money up, set it aside. The bottom hasn't hit yet. When the bottom hits, it's going to happen like on a Monday morning. Monday morning, you wake up and you see the stock market's down by 7,000 points. It'll take another hit, maybe down by 10,000 points. Then you'll start seeing it start to settle. The Federal Reserve can't make anything happen now because they're in a position now where they're kind of locked in. They can't do anything because they're basically holding the market up.
And I guess last question on this side is there, I mean, at this point, it's already too far gone, meaning there's nothing a person could do to fix that curve? Wow.
Unfortunately speaking, what President Trump is doing with this brand new bill, it's $50 billion. $50 trillion. They're underestimating it. It's going to be $50 trillion. So around the world, we're now sitting on $200 trillion plus in debt. The world doesn't have the kind of liquid money on hand. So if you look at the MM1, MM2, and so forth, that's the money market, how it's designed, money market and so forth, there's not enough money. So basically all this is doing now is adding more fire to the fuel.
Wow. Yeah, so we get some planning to do, it sounds like. And I guess moving, still in the same vein, but moving a bit further down we'll call it down the pipe or what have you, is what got you into real estate?
I got into real estate because I got fired from a job at a bank in Chicago at the time. And attrition was happening and so forth. So it was kind of the best thing that happened because my first year I didn't do anything in sales, but then I discovered investment. I bought 3 houses there, were basically rehabbed and went from there.
So for yourself now, with everything that's coming, does anything like that, when that's sort of happening and you see it coming down the pipeline, is there any thought in you that says maybe it's time to go to a different industry, or do you just love this industry and you're gonna?
You gotta love real estate. The tenants become a problem sometimes. You got some tenants that are a problem. But like what you're seeing now, Blackstone, BlackRock, Warren Buffett and so forth, everybody's putting money on the sidelines. We call it dry powder. There's probably $70-80 trillion of dry powder on the sidelines. Nobody's making any moves because they know the bottom's gonna hit. So if you look at some of the magazines like Pension Age and Cranes and so forth, the money's sitting on the sidelines. Nobody's making any moves. This is the best time to wait because you're gonna get deals at 70% off.
Excuse me. Yeah, and that's again, my wife and I were looking at whether or not we were gonna move. So we live in Canada, and we were looking if we were gonna move to the US. And at the time, the reason I remember the Phoenix thing is that's where we were like, maybe we should get something in Phoenix right now. So I mean, that's what made me think of it, is we saw how low it went. Like we were seeing places that would normally be $500,000 that were like 100-some thousand. Like it was pretty insane. In Canada, the same thing happened.
It's happening now.
And the interesting part is how real estate has changed over the last few years. Like I know what you're talking about because of how much it's dramatically changed, even in the years since I was growing up. So whenever I was growing up, just to put it in perspective, the little town I lived in, now this is obviously years ago, but my parents sold the house. So they bought it for less. They sold the house for $35,000 and actually made a bit of money. And this has put me at about 18. So we're talking 32 years ago. The house that we bought, we got really lucky. We bought the house. We found out they had to sell it. So what it was is that the guy that was selling it, he was buying his son's house, and his son was buying another house, and it was a domino. Everyone had to sell within 30 days. So we knew that. So we ended up offering $40,000 less. And this was at a time when the market was like, most of the houses at the time are about $400,000, and we bought ours for 200 and some, 6 years old with a warranty. It's now worth about 550. But what I'm getting at is that's how much the market's changed. 30 years, from 30,000 to $500,000 for the same size house, almost identical size house. And this is in a small little town in Canada. So to your point, how can that last forever?
Well, here's a trick to it. To give you folks an idea of what's really happening, some of you probably are age, you remember the savings and loan industry, right? Have you seen any savings loans? All 5,000 of them disappeared during the Resolution Trust era. The banks now, this is the thing that nobody's talking about, but it's very factual. There's a bail-in. They signed the bill during the Obama and Bush administration. So if the banks fail now, Guess who pays the price? The depositors. There's no taxpayers. It's called a bail-in. Look it up, you get an idea. It's called bail-in. It's actually a bill that they signed. So now the depositors are on the hook for this. So the too big to fail, it's going to happen. A lot of banks are now closing down their locations. If you look around, you start seeing them. TD, Wells Fargo, US Bank, and so forth. It's happening right now, quietly. So this gives you an idea of what this is going to be like. So if all those banks disappeared, 25 million houses were on the market. This time, try 50 million.
So this may be a real estate question or maybe completely outside of real estate, but I want to lead into the couple of questions I want to make sure I ask you. One of them is called the passenger question. And it was really inspired by the book I just released, a show we have called The Enlightened Passenger. And really it's about what kind of advice we give strangers if they ask for it. So the question is, Darius, if you were sitting on a plane next to a stranger and they leaned over and said to you, I need some advice, what do you got? Would you give them real estate advice? Would you give them life advice? What would you tell the person?
Both.
Both?
Mm-hmm. The real estate advice be as wise as you possibly can and look at the market as a business. And with that being said, look at the fact that there are opportunities in the market. You just have to realize where they are. Retail, no. Hotels, no. Residential, absolutely, because everybody's got to have a place to stay. Whether it's second stage housing for people that are going through transition living, whether it's multifamily, just general stuff, and or whether it's office or development, that kind of thing. And then as far as life advice, be wise enough to understand that when you come into resources, be very careful of the people that are around you.
Oh, I love that. So follow-up to that is what I call the time machine question. And the time machine question is really about, it could be called the younger self question, but the time machine question is if you could jump into a time machine, jump back in time, you pick the time when you would do it, but go back and talk to your younger self and give him some life advice, which obviously would be different than a stranger because you know you, but give him some advice. What do you think you might tell a younger Darius?
I could go back in time any particular year.
You pick.
1929, October 1st, right before the stock market crash.
So you go before you were even born.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be talking to younger Darius.
No. October 1st, 1929. To be in a situation where I could be at the barber shop right down on Wall Street and be one of those individuals that was getting his shoes shined and know exactly what was going to happen when the stockbroker said, get out of the market. Be able to buy in at the utmost lowest cost.
Wow. You'd use the DeLorean and really.
Absolutely.
How many people have seen the Back to the Future when, what's his name, Biff,
That's right.
took the book and went back and bet on the race or whatever and became a multimillionaire? It was the perfect timing.
That's right.
So follow up to that question, and I know this is really more out there, more abstract, but do you believe in time travel? Like, do you believe, now I don't mean like that we're doing it now. I mean, like, do you believe it's something that we're eventually going to be able to do?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And do you think, well, and I'll also follow up to that is, there's one of the things we're exploring is with the documentary is we're talking about time travel in general, like an hypothesis of what time travel really is. And the other side of it is, do you believe in, there's a lot of people talk about going back sort of mentally or going back to younger self whenever they had a trauma, like EMDR does that, but going back and trying to heal yourself. Do you believe in that type of time travel as well?
Absolutely.
And have you done that at all?
That's actually part of the book that I just wrote, TPS, where I'm talking about it, how you overlive that trauma. And when I say overlive it, you've got to get over it, and then you go through the process of what that trauma is all about and how that experience is.
Wow, I love it. Last official question is, do you watch time travel movies? Like, did you watch The Time Machine, stuff like that? And when you watch them, when you think about it, going back, if you did, so I'm going to ask it, if you didn't pick the date you just said, when else do you think you would go back to and why?
1999, April, the dot-com crisis. It's always a crisis. How do you take advantage of it? I think Ari, what's his name? Rahm Emanuel's brother said it best. Every opportunity presents an opportunity. So taking advantage of those crises in a business mindset.
Is that Ariel Emanuel who has they based Entourage after?
That's right.
And now owns
The whole 9 yards of all the Hollywood
like
stuff.
well, yeah, he owns UFC as well.
That's right.
And WWE.
That's right.
Yeah, okay. So I was just making sure it was the same
It's a
person.
timing thing.
Yeah.
Ball on timing.
I noticed the common theme with Darius, right? What he wants to go back, like, so it tells you you love what you do. Like, it's all related to what you do. Like, for me, I would probably go back to like Woodstock. Or some epic moment where I'd love to experience that thing. Or big for me would be to go back to Greenwich Village whenever like Bob Dylan was playing in the folk clubs and at the same time Steve Martin was performing. Like both of them at the same time, and go watch a show with only 10 people in the audience. Like, so, but it's funny because music's my thing, right? So I think most of us would go back to times that's our passion, probably. So I just love that yours has a common theme. So Darius, the unofficial question is, if people want to learn more about you, connect with you, work with you, whatever that looks like, what does that look like to you? Like, where would you send them? Is there a hub or a place you would send them?
They can connect with DariusWrites.com or DariusARoss.com.
Easy. Okay, very cool. Anything else you want to leave us with? Any other?
That'd be great. Like I said, look forward to more opportunities.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Darius. Thank you, everybody. To be continued.